Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching 6th part of What If Naruto Was Betrayed and Destroyed Konoha. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
The rumor of the mysterious Shogun of Shadows was spreading like wildfire throughout the elemental countries. This mysterious figure was said to wield power over several countries, including the Cages, and to be plotting moves in secret that would one day make him master of the world. No one could get a clear picture of him, but what Tsunade saw when they met was sketched and entered into the bingo book, with a large bounty on the man's head. As things stood, many of the major countries' daimyos were becoming concerned, as some from smaller countries who had been corrupt and cruel in oppressing the people in their lands had met very violent ends. Each one's head is branded with the kanji for Shogun's justice, and the wealth taken from the people is returned to the people. When it came to ruling over the land, the shogun appointed a member of the daimyo's family who was in exile, was not corrupt, and would rule fairly over them. Others in the family who attempted to do the opposite were either crippled beyond the point of ruling or executed for crimes against their people. In short, the Shogun of Shadows was becoming a folk hero. Senju Tsunade was hating every minute of it. It's bad enough I have to deal with the damn brat, but now this new figure makes himself known to the world and then kills one of my Junin while the other is practically broken beyond repair. Grumbled Tsunade, trying to figure out why Neji's injuries she could heal weren't healing. She was perplexed by this. The burns she could treat were caused by the fire caused by the explosive tags going off in the room with the oil. Even if the oil had caused the burns, it couldn't stop her from healing them, and she deduced that they weren't healing due to some outside factor she couldn't see. It was possible that something in the explosive tags could change the elemental properties of the fire, but they were extremely rare, and she would have to be older than her late grandfather, or know someone still alive from that time, to know such locations. Even Homura, Kaharu, and Danzo, three of the village's oldest residents, had no idea where to look for such items. So what could have changed the elemental compounds of the fire itself to burn Neji to such a level that her medical skills could not heal him? She felt the answer was right in front of her, but Tsunade couldn't see it, which irritated the woman more than anything else right now. Tsunade-sama, the fire daimyo has come to see you, Shizune said before leaving the room without hearing from the older woman. She's still resentful of my actions against Naruto. When the fire daimyo walked in, his fan open and waving at himself, Tsunade thought to herself, typical. Hello there, Gondam Hokage. I would normally be happy to come here, but world events are making my life miserable, and the source of it has been this village, said the fire daimyo as he sat down, his two samurai bodyguards by his side. My deepest apologies, daimyo-sama, but the source of it all isn't the leaf, as many have speculated, but rather the rogue Kyuubi Jinchuriki and his associates. They've been a thorn in our side, and thus a thorn in yours as well, Tsunade explained, with the fire daimyo nodding and fanning himself. Perhaps. What is the state of the Uchiha? He was beaten up by your recovery team a while back. Is the boy still recovering? Tsunade nodded as the fire daimyo inquired. Unfortunately, yes. The injuries he sustained months ago were severe. I still can't believe the retrieval team would defy my orders to bring the boy back relatively unscathed, Tsunade responded with a sigh after her statement. Konoha's shinobi are sadly lacking in discipline. I also learned about the Hyuga boy's half-burned body and the suspect being this Shogun of Shadows I've been hearing about. Tsunade winced at the words of the fire daimyo. I've been working with Jiraiya on that end to find out the Shogun's identity and known associates in the hopes that they can lead us to him so justice can be served, Tsunade explained as the daimyo nodded. Tsunade-san, my court, and my family are all a little nervous about this Shogun, and they want this matter resolved right away. He is receiving far too much support from minor countries, and some major ones are no doubt demonstrating that they are not opposed to him. My own people are now divided, with some supporting my rule and others supporting the shogun, and other major countries are experiencing the same thing. Tsunade, he's becoming a threat to my rule, and if this shogun teams up with Uzumaki Naruto, who do you think will face the shogun's wrath if given control of Fire Country? The Fire Daimyo replied, with the Hokage looking nervous, because the shogun could order the liquidation of the leaf if the man rose to such a level of authoritative power. Rest assured, Daimyo-sama, we will bring down Uzumaki Naruto, his associates, and this shogun of shadows as soon as possible, Tsunade said as the Fire Daimyo frowned at her. For your sake, Tsunade, I hope you are correct, and if you fail, his possible dislike for Konoha will be something we both have in common, said the Fire Daimyo before getting up and leaving the room. Any word on the Akatsuki? Tsunade inquired, knowing Jiraiya was listening in through the window. Some. My spy informed me that they had recently been hit hard. Hoshigaki Kisame was killed first in a fight with Naruto earlier this year, and Sasori of the Red Sands and Deidara the explosives master from Iwa were recently killed in Suna while fighting Sabaku no Gara. With the Akatsuki severely weakened, my spy believes the Akatsuki leader will handle matters himself, personally going after Naruto for the Kyuubi, Jiraiya stated, with Tsunade nodding. Hopefully, we can make a move during that time and capture Naruto and the rest of his group while they are weak, Jiraiya grimaced in response to Tsunade. Tsunade, this Akatsuki leader is not a joke. To be the Akatsuki's leader, you must be incredibly powerful, and to keep someone like Itachi in line. Jiraiya left the rest unsaid, knowing Tsunade would pick up on it. Jiraiya is clear to me. Still, I want your spy to notify us when this leader makes a move against Naruto so that a team can be prepared to capture the brat and possibly kill the Akatsuki's leader in the process. Tsunade obeyed, the Sannin in front of her nodding. One more thing, Tsunade, I believe Naruto has obtained another summoning contract, Jiraiya added, as Tsunade narrowed her eyes at him. Which one? Tsunade asked, looking nervously at Jiraiya. I'm not sure. The toads refused to tell me anything, or rather, they were ordered not to tell me anything. Tsunade's eyes widened at the implication of Jiraiya's words. Few summons have the power to do that, Tsunade said, while Jiraiya nodded, remembering a conversation he had a few days ago with Pa and Ma after Naruto's newly acquired summons had paid them a visit. I know. When I asked who had visited them, I saw fear in Ma's and Pa's eyes, as well as the elder toad who outranks them looking so humbled. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen from them before, Jiraiya explained while scratching his head. Do you know what summons have that power? Tsunade asked, with Jiraiya shaking his head no. Not that I can recall. What I do know is that this summoning is extremely powerful and ranks very high on the hierarchical ladder. The toads being shaken by this can only mean Naruto discovered an ancient summoning contract that far outranks the toads, and it is clear that this new summons is furious at them for removing a certain Kyuubi Jinchuriki from the toad contract. Jiraiya frowned at Tsunade and decided to get some answers from her own summons. Tsunade summoned the slug boss Katsuyu outside the Hokage Tower to see the female slug boss summons, one of only a few in existence. Looking at her, and the fifth Hokage was surprised to see her so exhausted. Jiraiya noticed it as well, and observed the same symptoms on the slug boss that he had observed on Ma, Pa, and the elder toad sage himself. Jiraiya was willing to bet a week's worth of research material from the hot springs that Manda, the snake summons of Orochimaru, was going through the same thing right now. Katsuyu? What occurred? She was about to ask Tsunade about news of a summons making a power play move against the toads, but now she was wondering what happened to her own, and saw the slug boss look down with tired eyes. Milady, Uzumaki Naruto happened. He has a new summons, and he has paid me and the toads a visit. I wouldn't be surprised if they also came to see Manda. Tsunade looked at her in horror, while Jiraiya grimaced because his current suspicions about the boy having a new summons were correct. What is the brat's summons called? How can they maneuver you, the toads, and even the snakes? Tsunade inquired, Katsuyu shivering. I can't tell you what summons Uzumaki Naruto possesses because they've forbidden us all from telling anyone. What I can tell you is that their authoritative power stems from being one of the most ancient summons in all of the elemental countries. They were thought to be lost for all time until Naruto discovered them and signed the contract. The boy told them about your betrayal, and betrayal is something this summons despises above all else. They've set up a tribunal to try me, the toads, and the snakes for crimes against Uzumaki Naruto. Tsunade looked shocked and irritated that some summons would have the audacity to do that to her. What? Are you sure? Tsunade exclaimed, and Jiraiya was not pleased. Milady to the extreme. This is no laughing matter. Not only that, but the Shinigami himself will preside over the event, as will various other boss summons of various kinds. Depending on what is decided, we will no longer be able to be summoned by you, the snakes by Orochimaru, or the toads by Jiraiya. In short, if you fight Naruto and attempt to summon us, you will fail. Tsunade was enraged, and Jiraiya was equally so, as Katsuyu explained. That means my Sage mode will be removed as well. Jiraiya realized, knowing that without Ma and Pa to assist him in performing that state, he would be effectively crippled. Milady, please accept my apologies. I tried to defend your actions in response to the summons, but they didn't listen and dismissed my arguments as pathetic excuses from years of being subservient to a spiteful woman who has forgotten half of the bloodline she is descended from. Tsunade was enraged, as Katsuyu stated. They had the audacity to say that about me. Fine. Allow them to express themselves. I know where I stand in relation to the damn brat, and I'm sticking to it no matter what, Tsunade replied, and Katsuyu nodded. Milady, I expected nothing less from you. However, if the tribunal does not rule in our favor, the contract you, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru have will have your names removed. Tsunade smashed the ground with her fist in anger after Katsuyu left them. Damn you, brat. His summons dares to oppose us. Threatening to revoke our own summons in this manner, and through a summons tribunal no less? There hasn't been one in the elemental country's history since summons first appeared. I'm going to rip that maggot's body in half. Tsunade exclaimed as Jiraiya pondered what the slug boss had just told them. At the very least, Orochimaru is in the same boat as us, with Manda facing the tribunal, Jiraiya said, his voice hopeful. Jiraiya, I'm not interested in Orochimaru right now. Right now, all I care about is beating the snot out of Naruto the next time I see him. Tsunade shot back, her eyes filled with death. Earth Country, a few miles from Iwa. You have a lot of guts to ask me to meet you here, boy. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't take you out with my forces. Sandaime Tsuchikage Noki responded, accompanied by his granddaughter Kuretsuchi and a large man named Akatsuchi. Because that is the behavior of a foolish newly minted cage. Given your age, you don't appear to be one, Naruto responded, scowling at him. Is there anything else besides my age that makes you underestimate me? Naruto smirked as he asked Noki. I dealt with a rogue missing nin who was part of the Akatsuki organization for you. His name, I believe, is Deidara. Naruto responded with Noki looking shocked that one of his rogue shinobi had been taken down by the Uzumaki, while Akatsuchi and Kuretsuchi were angry. You killed Deidara ni! Exclaimed Kuretsuchi, who was on her way to destroy him when Noki raised his hand. What evidence do you have that he died at your hands? I heard he recently attacked Suna, Noki replied, knowing that only those fighting Deidara would know how he died. I was fighting him there. It is confirmed by the cage. Deidara, on the other hand, blew himself up while attempting to kill us all. I was able to stop him by using a variety of personal means that saved Suna's life, Naruto explained with the Sandaime Tsuchikage nodding because that was something Deidara would do. I see. Since Deidara was out of control, I suppose a thank you is in order, Noki replied, as Kuretsuchi and Akatsuchi looked at him in surprise. Grandfather! Exclaimed Kuretsuchi, despite the fact that the old man didn't even look at her. Kuretsuchi, please stop. We're both aware that Deidara was out of control and lived only to blow things up, no matter who he targeted. When Naruto nodded, Noki said. I'm also here to inform you that I'll be removing Han and Roshi from Iwa. They are no longer safe in this place, Naruto continued, while Tsuchikage looked annoyed. I respect the fact that you murdered Deidara. However, I do not respect the fact that you were removing Iwa's Jinchuriki and have the audacity to say so to my face. Noki fired back as Kuretsuchi and Akatsuchi moved into a fighting stance. You appear to believe that your presence can stop me. Han. Roshi. Come on in, my brothers, Naruto responded with the two Jinchuriki emerging from the shadows and surprising Iwa by standing by the Uzumaki. Han? Roshi? What exactly are you doing? Why? Noki demanded and asked of the two Jinchuriki. Sandaime Tsuchikage came to assist us. We were never as bad as in Iwa. We are despised for our beliefs and are regarded as nothing more than weapons to be discarded. Uzumaki Naruto is similar to us in that he came to us when he could have done nothing and provided us with weapons to defend ourselves against the Akatsuki. He gave us a way to live, to be treated fairly, and to be treated with respect simply for being Jinchuriki. We're going to help him fight the Akatsuki and achieve something neither of us has had before. A chance to live our own lives, Roshi stated as Tsuchikage frowned at him. Your life has arrived in Iwa. You're both Iwa shinobi. Noki exclaimed, as Han and Roshi shook their heads. If that were true, you would treat us like Iwa shinobi, not as cheap weapons you can throw away whenever it suits you, Han replied softly, as the Tsuchikage appeared to be about to blow his top. I'm going to warn you too. Don't go along with him. Your life's mission is to protect Iwa from any threats. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki is included. I'm telling you two to put him down right now. Commanded Noki, with Han and Roshi looking at each other before their gazes were drawn to Naruto, who was staring at Tsuchikage with unwavering eyes. Whatever you two decide to do about Tsuchikage's command, I will respect your decision and do absolutely nothing to stop you from killing me, Naruto replied as the two Jinchuriki looked at him, then at Tsuchikage, then back at the Uzumaki before kneeling at his feet. Our loyalty, respect, and the power that is sealed within our bodies is yours to command, Uzumaki Naruto. Our one true lord and master, Han and Roshi replied simultaneously, with Sandaime Tsuchikage looking enraged. Stupid whelps. After I deal with the brat you claim to serve over me, I'll teach you whippersnappers a thing or two about respect. Noki exclaimed as he moved to engage Naruto, but found out two important things the hard way about the blonde, and it happened in the span of seconds. The Uzumaki, for one, was extremely fast. 2. The Uzumaki was extremely powerful. Naruto quickly knocked Kuretsuchi and Akatsuchi away before they could move to assist Tsuchikage in battle. If you want to call it that. The Sandaime Tsuchikage was the oldest living kage, having survived 3 shinobi wars and countless battles while gaining years of wisdom and battle scars on his wrinkled old body to prove it. Not to mention his occasionally bad back, which rendered him immobile when he jumped out of his chair quickly at important and shocking times in his life when acting on instinct. The Tsuchikage remembered the speed of an Uzumaki when fighting in pure taijutsu among those old wounds, scars, and memories of the past. He last saw it near the end of the First Shinobi War, when Noki was a newly promoted Chunin on a mission with his squad. They encountered a lone Uzumaki on his own mission from Whirlpool, and the idea of capturing him for information had piqued the interest of Noki's Junin squad leader. It turned out to be the Iwa Junin's final mistake, as that Uzumaki in particular had beaten the entire squad to death, with the exception of Noki himself, and the future Tsuchikage was dangerously close to joining them. It was pure coincidence that an Iwa medic Nin was returning with her squad minutes after the Uzumaki had left, and she brought him back to Iwa to be healed before the second Tsuchikage asked for a report on what had happened. It was later discovered that the Uzumaki shinobi who destroyed Noki's team was one of the late Uzumaki Genshin's sons and had been taught this berserk taijutsu style by his own father. It was also as a result of that heinous beating that the very same Iwa Kunoichi for a medic Nin who had healed the future Tsuchikage had fallen in love with him during his recovery and become his future wife. If only Sandame Tsuchikage was aware of the irony that was unfolding right now. Now it appeared that history was repeating itself, as Uzumaki Naruto beat the stuffing out of him in the same way that the blonde's predecessor had done ages ago. All of the moves, hits, the impact of Naruto's fist, and even the pain itself reminded Tsuchikage of that moment. A painful knee to the lower torso sent the now Tsuchikage bouncing hard on the ground, each impact leaving holes in the ground similar to those seen when skipping stones on water, and he went through several trees. Naruto dodged a punch from the large Iwa shinobi, grabbed the offending arm, broke it, and threw the man more than 100 feet away. A split second after the impressive throw, Naruto ducked under a kick aimed at him and did a low-feet tripping sweep kick to rob Kuretsuchi of the ground beneath her. She quickly rose to her feet, but was met with a hard punch to the face, sending her flying back with a bloody broken nose. "Have you had enough? I could do this all day." While Kuretsuchi growled at him from her prone position and Akatsuchi struggled to get up with his one broken arm acting as a deadweight, Naruto said. "How come you insignificant little?" Kuretsuchi began, but stopped when Naruto pointed to her grandfather's downed body and saw how badly he was messed up. "Iwa shinobi, return your Tsuchikage to your village. Without immediate medical attention, I believe you will soon need to find a new Tsuchikage." Naruto, with the kunoichi in front of him, looked at her grandfather to see if he was in a life-threatening situation. "Damn it," thought Kuretsuchi as she shifted her gaze from her grandfather to Naruto, glaring at the Uzumaki. "Kuretsuchi-san, don't give me that look. Your grandfather was incorrect. When he recovers from his injuries, assuming you get him back to Iwa in time for that to happen, of course." While the Iwa kunoichi limped over to the badly injured Tsuchikage, Naruto stated, "Akatsuchi did the same. We will never forget this. You've turned Iwa against you," Kuretsuchi stated before they left with the old cage, while Naruto simply shook his head. "Do you believe Iwa will retaliate against Naruto-sama?" Han inquired once they were further away from Iwa. "First and foremost, do not address me as Naruto-sama. I'm your friend first and foremost, and your leader second. As for Iwa, I believe the Tsuchikage and his granddaughter should take some time to reflect. If they become a problem for us in the future, I will take care of them myself," Naruto responded as he noticed the two Jinchuriki beside him on either side were now looking at each other. "Do you want them to join our fight against Orochimaru and Konoha?" Roshi asked, and Naruto nodded. "Yes. Does that bother you as well?" With Han and Roshi looking at each other again, Naruto asked. "We have mixed feelings," Han replied, nodding. "Understood. If you don't want to be a part of Iwa's fall, I won't be angry with you, and I might even consider making some kind of negotiable concession to Iwa if it helps prevent a conflict," Naruto stated as they became less tense. They didn't like Iwa, but they didn't want to see it destroyed because of this. From summoning the world. The summoning world, where all summons lived, was a massive world in and of itself, filled with all kinds of summoning animals. This world was home to dogs, cats, various insects, and beasts of various sizes. It was governed by territories. No summons could even enter the territory of another summons unless granted permission, or risk a potentially disastrous war. To avoid an endless war, it was decided that if a dispute arose, a tribunal would be convened and the matter would be resolved with all other summons in the summoning world as witnesses to the tribunal. And one was being convened right now. The first one to ever take. Manda, Gamabunta, and Katsuyu were chained in a large circular room, their bindings capable of preventing them from being summoned by those who signed the contract. Ma, Pa, and the elder toad sage stood in front of Gamabunta, their chains preventing them from being summoned as well. All around them, the summons of their world were speaking as humans do with their own public tribunals before a loud roar silenced them all. The massive and intimidating presence of the dragon boss Bahamut descended from the sky, or in this case the large ceiling of the building, and landed on a platform, further intimidating the currently accused before him. The dragon boss's eyes were filled with rage, and as he glared at each of them, they shivered in fear, not meeting his gaze, and trying to look elsewhere. They had only met Bahamut a few times in their lives, when they were little slugs, tadpoles, and baby snakes who would hide behind their parents when they were in the presence of the mighty creature. Hear ye! Hear ye! This tribunal is now in session. The dragon summons of the Uzumaki clan versus the toad summons of Konoha, the slug summons of the Senju clan, and the snake summons of Orochimaru of the Sannin. The charges are betrayal of a summoner, assisting one summoner in the betrayal of another summoner, breaking the vow to never reveal a prop. How do you three respond to the charges leveled against you? Enraged Bahamut. Manda exclaimed, "Not guilty." "Not guilty." Exclaimed Katsuyu. "Not guilty." Said Gamabunta, Ma, Pa, and the elder toad sage all at once. Will witnesses come forward and evidence be presented? Asked the Shinigami as he watched the dragon boss summons nod and then look directly at them. The prosecution summons the Kyuubi no Kitsune to testify on our behalf. Exclaimed Bahamut, as the summoning animals gathered around him, whispering, talking, and clicking in their own language. Silence. Kyuubi no Kitsune, come forward. Yelled the Shinigami, and everyone felt a second malevolent presence that made the group of defendants shake even more in fear. I am here at your command to speak on behalf of the Dragon Boss summons and my vessel Shinigami-sama, Kyuubi declared, bowing respectfully to the all-powerful deity before looking at the defendants with bloodlust in his eyes. Then speak up, tell us about your vessel's life and how he was treated by those around him, the Shinigami demanded. Shinigami-sama. I must stop the Kyuubi from speaking. He is a demon who will speak lies and twist truths. Exclaimed Gamabunta before the Shinigami shocked the massive toad boss with a bolt of lightning. Be silent. In this tribunal, there will be no lies or half-truths because I see all that would come from such words. If you speak them here or prevent the truth from being heard, then you will be severely punished. Exclaimed the Shinigami, the summons around him visibly shaking. I am the Kyuubi no Kitsune, one of the 9 Biju, and I swear on my 9 tails that what I speak today is true. My vessel's name is Uzumaki Naruto, formerly of Konoha in Fire Country. He is the son of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, the latter formerly of Whirlpool Country along with the Uzumaki clan. The summons around them gasped in horror as they witnessed Naruto's abuse, with the harsher forms of the abuse occurring on his birthday. A day that should have been a day of joy for a child had turned into a day of agony and suffering, making many summons shake with rage at the actions of these humans within this village. They finally saw the memory of Naruto fighting Uchiha Sasuke, barely winning, carrying the injured traitor back to the village, and being yelled at by Senju Tsunade for hurting the fool despite the fact that it was part of the mission to use force. How a shadow clone hiding beneath a henge of a simple bird overheard Tsunade and Jiraiya discussing the bleak future they had planned for him. Needless to say, it caused all the summons around the group of accused summons to shake with rage they hadn't felt in their entire lives. What's worse, Shinigami-sama, we've learned from Naruto himself that Konoha betrayed Whirlpool and destroyed it from the inside after the Toads told Jiraiya of the Sannin about the prophecy the Dragon Sage told me, knowing that the child would hold Kyuubi and only an Uzumaki can do that. They knew that by securing Uzumaki Kushina after she became the next vessel of Kyuubi, they... I am not a part of their plans, Bahamut-sama. I have only served Orochimaru during this time, and he has always despised Konoha. I do not deserve to be punished alongside these all, exclaimed Manda as he was struck by lightning from the Shinigami once more. Did I give you permission to talk yet, Manda? No? Then you will be quiet, yelled the Shinigami, and the snake's boss Summons lowered his already aching body to the ground in submission. The snakes are guilty by association with Orochimaru as their summoner and in defiance of the Shinigami himself. The Toads and Jiraiya of the Sannin are both guilty in their actions against my summoner, as you have seen with his memories. The Toad broke the sacred vow and law to never reveal information about a prophecy when told by a summons. I've heard enough. I've seen the Kyuubi's memories of the boy's treatment. I've heard from Bahamut of the crimes committed against Uzumaki Naruto and all of the Uzumaki clan in general. It is clear to me that all of you are guilty of the crimes listed and more that you all have yet to be charged with by the dragons. Do you have anything to say for yourselves before I pronounce your punishment? Declared the Shinigami, as the accused looked at each. We only did what we thought was right, Shinigami-sama. Jiraiya was our summoner, and he had a right to know about his influence in the prophecy, Pa said before being struck mercilessly by the Shinigami's lightning. Do not play me for a fool, old Toad. You knew the rules, and your excuse is a hollow one, the Shinigami retorted, seeing the other summons calling for judgment against the accused. It didn't take a genius to figure out how they felt about them. Guilty, 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 guilty. The words spoken by all the summons around them, spoken through their mouths, mandible clicks, angry buzzing, and stomping of their feet while loudly beating their chests. Bahamut, for his part, remained silent throughout, watching the Toads, Slug, and Snake tremble in fear, knowing that the Shinigami was thinking along the same lines. The Death God didn't care if they had silver-tongued, honey-dripping words of remorse or wished to redeem themselves in his deathly eyes. Even now, they could see that the Shinigami thought they were unworthy of staying summons or even keeping their contracts at all. If the Shinigami so desired, he could deprive them of all their powers, skills, and summoning rights, and their entire territory could be surrendered to the dragons as compensation. In regards to the Toad, Slug, and Snake summons that stand accused of high crimes against the dragons and their summoner, I find them all guilty, declared the Shinigami, sending the audience into a frenzy of applause. Please Shinigami-sama, show the snakes mercy, exclaimed Manda before being struck by lightning again. Silence. I hereby pass judgment on the guilty parties. Neither the Toads, Slugs, or Snakes may be summoned by their current summoners ever again. The names of each summoner, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru, are to be removed from the contracts immediately. Your territory will be given to the dragons to manage as they see fit. Any decision you make must go through them for approval. How will our summoners know about your decision if they can't summon us? Katsuyu wondered. Each of you will send a subordinate to each of your summoners to inform them of my ruling. They will not reveal what happened here, only that you were found guilty and that your contacts with them are cancelled. Nothing more. Because the snakes have a summoner other than Orochimaru under their contract by the name of one Mitarashi Anko, she will be the only person for the next 500 years to summon them unless the dragons themselves give Manda permission to sign some contract. There is just one more thing I'd like to say before this tribunal concludes, Shinigami-sama, Kyuubi said, much to everyone's surprise. Even Bahamut was surprised when Biju spoke up and approached the death god. Speak Kyuubi, the Shinigami said, giving the fox the floor. As you know, the Akatsuki are hunting the Biju and don't care if our host dies in the process, but because the Yondaime split my power in half before sealing it into himself, I am incomplete, so if my host dies for any reason, I will not return like the others, Kyuubi explained as everyone took it all in. What's your point, Kyuubi? Bahamut inquired. Before I leave here to return to my vessel, I request that the Shinigami restore my other half to my person so that if Uzumaki Naruto dies, I am not lost to the ages and can one day return to the world. Only Shinigami-sama has the power to do that because the soul of the man residing in his stomach is tied to my other half needed to come back to life, Kyuubi replied, the Shinigami narrowing his eyes at him. Your explanation sounds selfish. Why should I even consider granting such a request to you? Asked the Shinigami with the Kyuubi keeping his head bowed. Because my vessel wishes it, Kyuubi replied, much to the surprise of everyone, including the Shinigami himself, because there was no lying and the fox spoke only truth. Lies. You would seek to break free from your prison and kill everyone around you, including Konoha. Exclaimed Gamabunta before being painfully struck by Shinigami lightning. Silence Toad Boss. You claim your vessel wants your entire Kyuubi? Why is that? Replied the Shinigami, curious about the boy's motivation for this request. My vessel is a strange one. Always has been and always will be in my opinion. When I told him how his father split me in half and sealed away the part that would allow me to rebuild myself after a time should he die, he wanted to know if there was any way for him to reverse it. I told him there wasn't. I told him summoning you just for that was not worth his life being sacrificed. Indeed. Your summoner is as wise as he is bold. You have made his life miserable for the first 12 years of it and even tried to kill him on more than one occasion. Indeed. Your summoner is as wise as he is bold. You have made his life miserable for the first 12 years of it and even tried to kill him on more than one occasion. Still, for your vessel to have you ask me such a thing not for yourself, but on his own behalf is nothing short of remarkable in. Shinigami-sama, you can't. The fox is an evil, vile beast who has clearly poisoned and corrupted his vessel's mind. Exclaimed the elder toad sage before the Shinigami struck him and nearly killed the oldest of the toads. Enough. I'm tired of you and the others speaking out of turn. Leave my sight now. Yelled the Shinigami as the group vanished. After they had left, the Shinigami opened his mouth and reached into it, pulling out Namikaze Minato's soul. The deity cut the soul open with his blade in one hand before reaching inside and extracting the much larger ball of energy that was the Kyuubi's other half. The Namikaze's soul begged the Shinigami to stop what he was doing, but the death god ignored him, letting the white energy that transformed into a nine-tailed fox howl at being freed before rushing right into the other. Kyuubi howled at the feeling of being whole again, its body growing larger and stopping at the original height he possessed before the Yondaime split him in two. Thank you, Shinigami-sama. You won't be sorry, Kyuubi said as he exited the death god's presence. I had better not. For your sake, Biju, the Shinigami replied. Somewhere else, a neutral location. I'm glad you showed up, Naruto said as he stood across from the man known as Pain and his partner Konan. That depends on your point of view, Pain replied, as Naruto smirked at him. You still want to capture me for Kyuubi, and the temptation to just fight me and take him out of my body is almost too strong for you to bear, Naruto said as pain narrowed his eyes at him. Your message stated it was worth my time talking to you. Proceed before I change my mind, Pain shot back, and Naruto's smirk vanished, leaving him with a deadly serious expression. Indeed. Tell me one thing, Pain. Do you value family? Those with Uzumaki blood in their veins? Asked Naruto, as Pain's body stiffened and Konan tensed. I see Itachi told you a lot about me. He's spying for you, Pain deduced, with Naruto shrugging because there was no reason to deny it. Yes, he was spying for Konoha before I turned him away from the village. Now his loyalty is solely to me, Naruto replied, as Pain narrowed his eyes at him. Not for much longer. I'll kill him myself, Pain replied, shaking his head no. You might want to save that for later, Pain. Right now, we need to talk about us and our future in working together to forge an everlasting peace, Naruto replied, his opponent looking at him as if he were insane. So you'd give up yourself and the other Jinchuriki to be used in our cause? Pain asked, with Naruto chuckling and shaking his head no. Hardly. What I'm proposing does not involve killing all 9 Jinchuriki for the Biju they hold, Naruto explained as Pain narrowed his eyes at him. Then we have nothing to talk about, Pain replied, raising an eyebrow at Naruto. Are you sure? Not even the fact that we're both related to the same clan? The Uzumaki clan? Asked Naruto, as Pain's body stiffened once more. Your hair isn't the usual red hair of the clan, Pain replied, smirking at Naruto. My hair is from my father's side of the family, but my mother was an Uzumaki, and she was the previous Jinchuriki before myself, Naruto replied, widening Pain's eyes in surprise. I see, there was only one Uzumaki in Konoha before you, and her name was Kushina, Pain said, nodding to Naruto. Yeah. The asshole you called Tobi broke Kyuubi out of his prison to be controlled so he could attack Konoha the night I was born, Naruto said, Pain's eyes narrowing. He didn't mention anything about his connection to Konoha, Pain replied, while Naruto nodded in agreement. Indeed. Did he also tell you about his plans for all 9 Biju? That once they were in the statue, he'd basically screw you over with his Moon Eye plan, to turn himself into a god who enslaved all humanity? Asked Naruto, with Konan shifting his gaze from Naruto to Pain and then back to the blonde Uzumaki. No, the plan was to use the statue as a weapon of ultimate power to force the world to become peaceful, Pain replied, shaking his head. All you'll do is force them into a different kind of slavery. Do what I say or die. Is not something you should try because it will drive some people insane enough to oppose you in the long run. Toba's plan is to have absolute rule without opposition with the removal of free will. My plan is by far better than I've already got it underway in uniting the world under my banner, Naruto explained, Pain's eyes widening. I see. While your concept is more humane, it will not bring eternal peace, and time has a way of destroying things, Pain countered, and Naruto smirked. Like your way is any better? Or Toba's for that matter? How long can Tobi keep people locked in that state of serving him? Even he would run out chakra one day and be forced to end the illusion long enough to recharge with the people acting quickly to prevent it. Besides, do you really want to kill so many innocent Jinchuriki for your dream? Were you even going to bring any of them back? I had not considered the idea, Pain replied, shaking his head. These Jinchuriki were forced to become one, and they were hated for it simply because they could be hated. Your plan involves taking the Biju from them and then simply dumping their dead bodies somewhere like trash. I didn't expect you to betray the beliefs of the Uzumaki clan and be more like the Uchiha or the Senju clan, replied Naruto, with Pain and Conan looking angry. "What do you know about the Uzumaki clan?" Pain replied, while Naruto imagined the man behind the puppet body was now slightly crying. "I know enough." "You see this sword?" said Naruto as he unsheathed the blade, and Pain immediately felt his blood start to boil for some reason. "Is that what I think it is?" "My Rinnegan says it's the real deal, but I need to hear it from you," Pain said as Naruto's sword emitted crimson-yellow energy, the red markings on the flat of the blade glowing crimson, and the Rinnegan saw the same words Itachi did. "Praise be to God for bringing order from the brink of chaos. It is the sword of Jubi. From our very homeland of Whirlpool at the base of the tallest mountain. When I reached for this sword, the spirit of Uzumaki Genshin himself appeared before me and taught me everything I would need to know about being an Uzumaki and one worthy of wielding this weapon. Revealed that I was his long-line descendant and that of Six Paths himself," Naruto replied while Pain looked at the sword and then at the blonde Uzum. "You are an Uzumaki. I thought there were more of us after Uzumaki Kushina died," Pain replied, with Naruto nodding. Itachi said something similar. "He was told by the Sandaime Hokage that I wasn't a true Uzumaki, just given the name to honor the woman who once held it before me. Though we both know better now, don't we?" said Naruto, noticing Pain's eyes widen. "I am not like the Uchiha or the Senju," Pain countered, as Naruto smirked at him. "Prove it. Help me unify the world. I have several major countries, minor countries, and the other shinobi villages minus Konoha supporting us. All that needs to be removed from the world is Orochimaru, Tobi, and Konoha while forcing the Fire Daimyo to make the liquidation of the Leaf Village legal. I'm asking you to help me not as an Akatsuki, not as the man known as Pain, but as an Uzumaki and fellow kin too. Conan and I are the only remaining members of the original Akatsuki before Tobi twisted it into what it is now," Pain explained. "We must deal with Tobi first before we go after Konoha and Orochimaru, because he is the greatest threat to everything I've worked so hard for, and the other members of the group that remain. Once we have removed all those that would threaten the vision of peace and order, the world will have a chance to catch his breath," replied Naruto, with Pain nodding and looking over at Conan to see the woman was pleased with the idea. "Conan will remove Zetsu because he is more loyal to Tobi, and I will leave Hidan and Kakuzu to you while I make plans to handle Tobi when we come together to combat him," Pain said, with Naruto nodding because that would benefit everyone. "I must admit, Pain, I'm a little surprised you're siding with me so easily on this matter, and not fighting me for Kyuubi. Why is that?" inquired Naruto, noticing Pain's usually emotionless Rinnegan eyes. "Because you reminded me that we are family, you and I. That we are bound in blood just as a Jinchuriki is bound to each other through the Biju. To extract Kyuubi, the other Biju, and to kill the Jinchuriki for a plan not of my own creation would make me lower than our related clans. I refuse to stain the honor of the Uzumaki clan. I am not like the Senju or the Uchiha. I am not Pain of." "Good to hear. I'll see you soon." "Uzumaki Nagato," Naruto replied before walking away from the man into the shadows. "That name. I haven't been called in so long. It's been so many years now since I was called that name," Nagato finally said before turning to face Conan, who smiled at him. "I agree. It's been many years. One day of not calling you by your true name is too long in my opinion." "Nagato," Conan replied, pleased with the prospect of calling him by his true name more frequently. It just felt wrong to keep calling him Pain all the time. "Thank you, Conan," Nagato said, "but we don't have much time. We have work to do, and the window of opportunity to act is quickly closing," Conan agreed. The clock was ticking. Weeks later in Rice Country. I can't believe this!" exclaimed Orochimaru for all to hear in his base. "What's the matter, Orochimaru-sama?" Kabuto asked, seeing the Sannin staring at the now burned-off snake tattoo on his arm and the snake contract taken from him. "I've just been informed that my contract with the snakes has been removed from my person," Orochimaru explained, cursing whoever did this. "So that's what's going on." It happened exactly as the Shogun of Shadows predicted. "It appears that it is time to execute Phase 2, thought Kabuto, who made a "I'm thinking" noise that drew Orochimaru's attention. "What is it, Kabuto?" Orochimaru asked, with Kabuto smirking inwardly. "Well, Orochimaru-sama, if this is the case, perhaps your former teammates are also suffering from a lack of summoning. Our spies have told us that Konoha has been in dire straits for some time," Kabuto explained, Orochimaru's mind racing over what the medic had just said to him. "Perhaps. The snake who took the contract did say my teammates were in the same boat as me because of the Uzumaki brat. Perhaps. Perhaps I should contact them. Yee. Everything is going as planned by the Shogun. Gathering all of your enemies in one place and of their own free will to avoid suspicion. Before laying the invisible trap they would never see. I serve a cunning master," Kabuto thought as he stared at the fake one and saw Orochimaru prepare to send a message to Konoha. Akatsuki headquarters sometime later. Zetsu was standing on the ground. He was covered in blood. The Akatsuki member was no longer alive. Conan dismembered his body in the plant man's very room. Conan had entered under the guise of speaking with him about a critical mission in the organization's spy. When Zetsu realized this was not true, it was too late. The woman had unleashed her power of paper manipulation on him. He was never going to stand a chance. To divert attention away from this, Nagato, posing as Pain, had directed Hidan and Kakuzu to seek out the Nibi Jinchuriki. In order for Naruto to prepare for their demise, the Uzumaki had sent a secret message to his fellow Uzumaki with blonde hair about this. Itachi was present at the base to ensure that Tobi was not present to prevent Conan from killing her target and disposing of the body before the man realized what was going on. It's almost time. Once Hidan and Kakuzu are dead, we'll wait for Naruto to arrive before killing Tobi, Nagato said as he watched Conan turn Zetsu's body into ash with a fire jutsu. That shouldn't take long. I'll notify Itachi when we're almost done, Conan said before leaving the room. Soon. Naruto will soon bring peace and order to the world. Except for Konoha, the major shinobi villages, minor countries, and a few major countries are all on board with the new cause. Once Konoha is destroyed, no one will want to oppose the new order, and all that will remain are the various missing nin that need to be rounded up who would try to threaten it in their own way, Nagato thought as he considered Naruto's future plans. It was going to be something truly spectacular.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.